Thank you, Lord. We're coming into your presence this morning, to the throne of grace. We want to just kneel down in your presence, and our hearts just tell you that we need you. We want to receive you in. If you have anything in your heart, any burden, just come to the Lord this morning. He laid himself down. He laid his righteousness down, his perfection down, and picked up our iniquities on the cross. And all he asks in exchange is that we would lay everything that we are down, so that we could receive him in. So let's receive him in. Let's receive his love, his grace, his forgiveness, his presence, his spirit, his truth, the wisdom that he has for us. Yes. And you will talk to us this morning, Lord. Thank you, precious holy name. Thank you, Lord. In your precious name. Amen.
So we're going to do We're going to do the picnic a little bit different today. We're going to get our food on the inside and then go on the outside. Jasmine and Justin wisely, prepared for an interior one based on the weather reports. I want to thank Angelina, brought on seats from from the Philippines. What is wrong with me? I see, because Pastor Steve's here, that's why I said Thailand. Pancit is it's a beautiful spring roll with pork and vegetables. Let's give her a hand, and her and Virgilio. And there's other food as well. I think Connie brought some chicken. Connie, did you bring some fried chicken? All right. Good stuff going on. I brought Shibley's famous hummus and baba ganoush. And then many other people. Thank you all for bringing things. There's going to be a lot of stuff. And we have some guests here today, quite a few. I don't think I'm going to miss somebody, so I'm not going to try to get everybody. But we have this really famous couple, actually, that are here today. I believe they're celebrating their 39th wedding anniversary and skipping church at their. Is that correct? That is correct. And these two people are the reason for our bass player, David Wright. And that is Pastor Bruce and Angie Wright. That's right. That's the Bruce. That's the Wright family. The Wright family. Pastor Bruce Wright family. And we're so thankful, so wonderful to have you here. We have been talking for years. Pastor Bruce, before he started the church in Habitat Grace, Maryland, up at the source of the Chesapeake Bay, where the Susquehanna River meets the other river, the Elk River, to form the Chesapeake Bay. Before all that, They were frequent guests at our church when we were meeting at the Highland Elementary School, about a mile from here on Medway Street. But then he never came back because he has his own church now. And we often talked about like not telling anybody that we were going to, do it. But I would preach up in Havre de Grace, and he would preach here. Maybe that still will happen someday, but I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. We also have some other folks here. We have a yesterday graduate with a bachelor's degree from Maryland Bible College and Seminary, Pastor Sajan. Did you stand, Pastor Sajan? South Korea. Helen, you are here. What is it? Do I have your name right? Oh, Young-hee. I'm sorry, Stan Young-hee from, are you from South Korea? Yes, from South Korea. I'm sorry about that. And In-hae Park, if you could stand In-hae from South Korea. Yeah, and let's love up on Eun-jin, she's right here too. No stranger to Greater Grace Silver Spring. And so great to have you. We also have Pastor Chuck and Susan Heidenreich. Can you guys stand on the back? Good to have you guys. Very good friends of mine. And it's just great to be here as well. And you know who else we have here? We have Ryan Bell. Look at Ryan right there in the back. Continuing to pray for him and his wife Adrienne and the children, and especially little baby Charlotte, if you didn't know, was born last Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday, right? Monday, last Monday. And she is still at the Walter Reed Medical Center, and but doing well and doing better. And so praise the Lord for that. We're so thankful, and let's keep praying for them, praying for the baby. And we're just so glad to have everybody here. Glad to have you here, Ryan. And so right now, I think we're going to hear some instructions or some announcements, briefly from Jasmine. Come on up, Jasmine.
Good morning, everybody. Before I go through the announcements, I just want to personally thank everybody who helped me this morning, because there were so many things to get done just in order to make sure that our picnic went well today, and also that our congratulations party went well today. So thank you, everybody. I'm not so sure that the person we're having the party for realizes that the party is for them, so I thought this might clear it up. So we just want to say congratulations to you, Isaac. We want to send you off in a blessed way. We also want to honor some other graduates we have here today. Christian could not be here, but he finished his economics program at U of Maryland. And we also have, and we also have a visiting guest, Rebecca's little sister, Gabriella, who just finished her program. So congratulations to all of our graduates. It's great to celebrate with you. Again, just want to thank everybody who brought some food for our picnic today. So what we're going to do after service is we're just going to go in the back, make a plate, and then go ahead and sit outside together and enjoy everything. All right? But I also wanted to make sure that everybody knew about our upcoming events. The details are up there. But we're having things a little bit earlier in June because we want everybody to make a note in their calendar to go to every day that you can of the Greater Grace Convention. If you've never been before, it's an amazing time. You'll meet wonderful people, hear blessed, edifying messages, and there's even a portion where you can march for Silver Spring, just to represent the Silver Spring Church as one in Maryland, okay? But before I sit down, I wanted to make sure that I got the grad gifts. So hold on one second, because I had to hide. Okay, so the first one goes to somebody who's probably not expecting it, but the way we do it in Silver Spring is if your fam goes here, you're automatically fam. So Gabriella, you can come to the I just want to say, it's nice to meet you, and congratulations. God bless you and your future. And then Marilyn, you can come up and receive Christian's gift. Congratulations, Christian. And then this is the last gift. This is actually for Isaac. So Isaac, if you want to come up, I specifically saved yours for last because this is from everybody at the church. So we just wanted to say thank you and we love you, and your fun spirit blesses everybody, from being a worshiper to being a friend to being a believer. And we just want to encourage you not to let anybody take that from you. But I also have one request. Could you open your gift so that everybody can just see it? No, wait. So I don't know if you all know that Isaac is going back to civil engineering, right? Okay, civil engineering program in Brazil. So he took a 2-year break so that he could complete his Bible college program, and now he's going back. So keeping in mind the fun we want you to keep having, especially when your program gets tough, we got you this gift. So let's see if you like it. I hope you like it. It's a build a bridge set because you're going to be. And there's a lollipop in there too. All right, we love you. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you.
There is one more graduate here, but she's new to this particular assembly, and it is Gabby. Gabby, could you stand right here? Gabby just graduated. She just graduated from the University of Maryland last Saturday, right? Week ago Saturday. She's a graphic designer, so if you need a website, you know what? We're going to be competing between Michelle and Gabby now. Got a little in-house competition here going on. Congratulations, that's a lot of hard work right there. And I have another announcement I wanted to make. I wanted to give you guys an update on the building. So on the building, if we want to show you the fundraiser site, we're going to put that up now. But so this is the building, right? So we bought the building, but we didn't buy it yet. We haven't closed yet. I shouldn't say, I'm so sorry, we didn't buy the building, but we're buying the building. We're still, we need to raise more money, but we gave the lawyer $10,000 earnest deposit, and the Church of the Brethren, who presently owns the building, signed on the contract. They signed the dotted line. Yes. Okay. There's more. The financing is all approved. So we're going to be financing 90% of the building for the next, hopefully only for the next 5 years. But the mortgage is spread out over 25 years for our benefit. But we've also made an agreement, we're in the process of making an agreement with the Montessori school downstairs. They will be staying, and we will be signing a lease with them for 5 years. And that is going to greatly help us pay our mortgage every month. Isn't that amazing? Praise the Lord, yeah. Yes. And then the church that meets after us, Rosa de Saron, they also are happy to be staying. I think they're only going to probably go year to year, depending. They might eventually get their own building. But for now, over the next year, they're going to stay. And there's going to be a few changes. They're not going to meet at 1 o'clock anymore, beginning in July, but they'll be meeting at 2 o'clock. And that'll give both our congregations a little bit more space to come in and go out, to give us time to clean the bathrooms for them, and give us time to kind of do our thing. Jasmine's going to now make much bigger cakes, and she's going to have much greater food and all this kind of stuff. I can see it all working in her head right now, so it's all good. So we're excited about that. And this room back here, they unfortunately are not going to be able to keep their office downstairs. That was part of the agreement with the school. So we're going to be giving this space over here to the church to be able to use for their printers and copiers and all their stuff that they need naturally for some sort of office, though it's very small. And then we're going to be doing the clean out pretty soon and getting rid of a whole lot of stuff that we don't need in here. But I just want to say, David Wright, could you stand? David Wright, David Wright. There you are. I got it. David Maxwell and some others and myself 2 years ago, David did we all did the numbers of what we were going to need to get. $3 million was the number, right? And David got up on that stage, that sort of fake stage that we made where we're not really a stage at all, but he got up in front of us all and he said God was going to give us the $3 million, right? And he didn't. But he gave us a building that was worth $3 billion. Well, it will be someday anyways, right? I just think that it is no small thing. It is no small thing. I was talking to Pastor Mark, I can't think of his last name. He's got a small church down in Silver Spring, and they've been looking for quite a while. He used to be the associate pastor and actually ran a very large Baptist church on Route 355. I'm trying to think of what it's called. But Pastor, you probably know Pastor Luis, the big Baptist church over there, and right there on the road that begins with an M. But anyway, he told me that some of the guys that he was with, they have started churches up in different areas in Montgomery County, and after over 20 years, they're still meeting in schools. So it's a special blessing, a special favor, I think, that God has given our congregation to be able to acquire this building and to be able to, really begin to utilize it even more once we own it for the purposes of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so I'm very excited about that. Let's give God a hand.
Yes.
So we're at $24,326 right now. The goal is $117,000. We have approximately 30 more days to go. It'll be 30 days tomorrow. Is tomorrow the 29th? Yeah, but this says a little bit more. 34 days left. Probably, though, we'll be closing on the building the last week of June. So we're going to need to raise some money. So if you all would just write down that website, put it on your Facebook pages, load it up, share it with as many people as you can, and put some challenges out there and see what can happen. God can do it, amen?
Amen.
All right, and I am so sorry. Who's doing the offering? Anugrah.
Woo!
Sorry, I kind of stole all your stuff, but you're going to do it, right? This is Anugrah. He was whacking some drums today, so let's listen to him talk about money.
Hey everyone.
Woo!
I'm going to call on a familiar verse, Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And yesterday we had our Bible college graduation, and it's amazing to see that the faith with which we have people from all these different countries, and some people from even in the United States who came and committed their lives to 4 years, maybe 1, maybe 2, just they gave their time. And speaking personally as an international student, I needed to have a lot of faith. There were monthly bills, there were weekly bills, there were food bills, and it is truly like the best time to practice faith. And now, speaking to all of us, faith, we need that much money. But how big is our faith? Matthew chapter 17, verses 20 said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. I have faith that God will provide for us. And it's easier said than done. there were times in my life where I needed to pay rent. It was actually the first month, the very first month. I came in on August 27th of 2016, and the next day rent was due, and I had exactly $10 in my bank account. And my parents sent me a check via mail, which there's no such thing as like, is my mail here yet? Is my mail here yet? Like the patience and the faith learning that I had during that time was nothing. It's like nothing I've ever had before. So how big is your faith? Can we say to $24,000, let's get to 117?
Yes.
Somehow God provides.
Yes.
Somehow God provided for me where I was never wanting. All I can say is God will provide. And how big is your faith? So let's pray. God, thank you for this time. Thank you for the offering. And thank you that it is our form of worship to you. I pray, Lord, that you give us faith. We cannot do it by ourselves. But I pray that you would give so we can give back to you. Bless us tonight. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Only overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I found. He's the 99. I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Only overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Woo! Yes!
Thank you guys, that was beautiful. Isaac, I'm gonna miss you.
Yes!
And Christine, could you stand? Where did Christine go? There she is. Christine also is here with her mom, and she also graduated yesterday from Bible college. Congratulations. And Paul is from Budapest, Hungary. Are you from Budapest? From Budapest. He is going to be going on the mission field for 6 months? A year. He's going to be going to Kunming. Is that correct? Kunming, China. Which is, he's going to go back to Hungary after the convention, spend a month there, and then be sent out from his church for 1 year to southwest China. Yeah, Kunming. It's where our largest church, not our largest church, but it's where our Bible college is. It's a big church. Yeah. We have a couple of large churches in China as well. So our speaker today, I've known him since 1987. And I tell you, if I could tell you all the things that this guy has done and how his faith has inspired me over the years. He was a missionary to China. He is a Bible college graduate from Maryland Bible College and Seminary. He's also was an instructor there for a year. He was 9 years, I believe, pastor of our church in Thailand. Interesting story there. Pastor Steve went with a pastor to go there, and then him and his family. And after a couple of months, a year and a half, the pastor just split, and Pastor Steve became Pastor Steve at that point, right there, I think. And then he later came back, taught at Maryland Bible College, and then for more than 15 years has been overseeing, pastor and now overseeing Greater Grace in Seoul, Korea, and presently lives with his wife in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome, Pastor Steve DeVries.
Okay, good morning. See the Koreans right up in the front row. Yesterday, after the graduation, we went out for a graduation party and ate Korean ribs, kimchi. How many like Korean food?
That would be good.
You like Korean food? How many like kimchi? You like kimchi? How many you don't like that you don't like. It's a bit of an acquired taste. And I mean, like spicy food. I really like spicy food. Thailand. The spice in Thailand and the spice in Korea is very different.
Yes.
But, my mouth is watering. I got plenty. Glands. Okay, so this morning, let's stand and open our Bibles once to Exodus chapter 12. Do you do that here?
Yes.
Just get up anyway. Do you read your Bibles? Yes, okay. Exodus chapter 12, and then turn to Luke chapter 22. And if you don't have your Bibles, stand up and stretch a little bit, get the blood going. So today is Memorial Day. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. This is Memorial Day weekend.
We're going to have a presentation.
Oh, okay. So, anyway, but we want to think about this. This is in the Bible, too. Memorial. Remembering. What do we remember? So just very quick, Exodus chapter 12. This is God about to deliver the nation of Israel out of Egypt, out of slavery. It hasn't happened yet, but it's about to. This is the 10th, they're getting ready for the 10th plague. The 10th plague. Okay, so Exodus chapter 12. Let's just start here. Verse 3. Well, no, let's start verse 2. This month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of persons, according to each man's need, you shall make your count for the lamb. How many people ever spending time with a little lamb? A little goat? How many have watched goat videos on YouTube? Those goats, they jump around and they knock each other over. They're the cutest thing. This is a little lamb. A little goat. One, not even a year old. Cutest thing. Now imagine you bring it into your house for 5 days. Abby is like playing with the lamb. Your kids are playing with the little lamb. The little goat becomes like the most precious thing in your household. Okay? Verse 5, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. Now you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. It's in your house, keeping this little lamb. How many like puppies? How many people like little kittens? If you like puppies, you would love a little lamb. Now you should keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it. That's why. Kill it. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the doorpost and on the lintel of the houses where they eat, and they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs, and they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its heads and its legs and its entrails. You shall let none of it remain until morning, and what remains of it until morning you shall burn with fire, and thus you shall eat it with a belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. So you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. Verse 12, for I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night, and I will strike all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Verse 14, so this day shall be to you a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord. Throughout your generations you shall keep it as a feast by an everlasting ordinance. Father, just bless us at this time. We're gathered here together. Our hearts are open to you. Speak to our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, you can be seated. In America, Memorial Day is not the same as Veterans Day, right? Veterans Day, we're remembering everyone who served. But Memorial Day, we're remembering those who died, those who gave their lives for liberty, for freedom. And it's a very precious thing. Right? It's like growing up, I didn't really grow up in a military family, so I really didn't get it. I thought it was a parade. I didn't really understand it. But now, as I get older, I'm understanding. I have 2 boys in the Army now. I'm understanding it. The liberty that we enjoy in this nation is so often taken for granted. So often taken for granted. And freedom's not free. Now let's think about this. For us. For the Jews coming out of coming out of Egypt, going to the promised land, God had promised them, I'm going to set you free. I'm going to set you free. I'm going to bring you out of Egypt, out of slavery, out from being under a tyrant, cruel dictator. I'm going to rescue you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to deliver you. It's with a mighty hand I'm going to do it. And he sets, if you know the story, there's 10 plagues he's gone through. 10 plagues. And every time Pharaoh is, no. And then finally he changed, okay, you can go. But then he changed his mind. He wouldn't let them go. This last one, finally let it go. And this is, now turn to Luke 22. Remember, what did God say? God said you are to remember this day every year forever. This day for the Jews is to be remembered every year. And it's the Feast of Passover. In Luke 22, we have this Feast of Passover. And Jesus is celebrating this Passover, this ancient memorial. The remembering God set us free. It wasn't we ourselves. We didn't save ourselves. We didn't set ourselves free. It was God who set us free. And in Luke 22, Jesus is with his disciples. Let's just read this, verse 17. Until verse 20. Now he's speaking to you and me. He's speaking to us. That memorial, the Passover, that was for the Jews. That was for Israel. This one was for us. Luke 22, verse 17, then he took the cup, and he gave thanks. He said, take this, divide it among yourselves. For I say to you, I will not drink the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes. He took the bread, he gave thanks, he broke it, he gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which is given to you, given for you. Do this in memorial me. Do this in remembrance of me. What is it? This bread represents my body. It's given for you. Verse 20, likewise he took the cup after the supper, saying, this cup is the new covenant. This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. The picture in Exodus chapter 12 is all foreshadowing. It's all a picture foreshadowing what Christ would do for you and I. And Jesus here is commanding us, just like he commanded Israel. He commanded them, remember this. Remember that. Keep this as a memorial every year. Do not forget this. Do not forget this. Why? Not just because, it's not because of law. It's not because, this is something God just, wants to make us jump through some hoops. It's like, remember this, because if you forget this, your life will be ruined. You will lose what I have given to you. You will return back to slavery. Your life, you will lose what I've given to you. Remember this, remember this, remember this. Don't forget it. So I just want to think of a couple, three things. This memorial is very powerful for us. Why this is so practical for us. It's not, when we break the bread, when we take communion together, the Lord's Supper, it's not about these elements. It is actually about living and continuing in the life of faith that Jesus Christ has won for us. Continuing to live by faith. Continuing to live free of sin. Free of condemnation. Free. He set us free. For liberty, Christ died to set us free. And what a shame. Think about it here in America, right? These men and women have died, paid with their blood that we may have freedom today in this country. And it's just an illustration. What a sad thing if I take this for granted. And I start cursing this country, and I start, just thinking and taking for granted, and complaining, and being critical, and not appreciating what we have in this nation. That's just very little, very small compared to what we have in the gospel. Very, very small. Because this world is passing away. But what Christ has given to us, what He has won for us, let's not be familiar. Don't take it for granted. So He commands us, remember. Keep this as a memorial. So I just want to, 3 practical points. Why? Why memorial? Why remember? I think number 1 is just to be thankful. Beginning with thankful. Thankful for what? It doesn't even matter. At this point, just an attitude of thankfulness without any specifics at the beginning. Just like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, you've loved us. Thank you, you've loved me. Thank you. Just in overall, all-encompassing thankfulness to God. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18. How many of you ever wondered, what is the will of God? Anybody ever wonder, what is the will of God for my life? What's the will of God for my life? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 gives us the beginning of that. How do I know what is the will of God? I'm just going to turn there quick so I can read it. Probably got it up there already. Okay, there it is. Thank you. She's fast. Here's the will of God. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
This is God's will. You want to know what God's will is for you? Start here.
Yes.
Give thanks. Not give thanks because, I have food on the table today. Not because of all these conditional things. Just beginning my day. Thank you, God. A memorial, a remembrance. Why? I should be on my way to hell. I should still, for the Israelites, they should still be under bondage.
Right.
We should, by all rights and purpose, we should all be continuing in just destitute, hopelessness.
Wow.
There are promises. God has spoken to us, promises upon promises upon promises. Thank you, God. Even without thinking first about any specifics, just thinking. What's the opposite of thankfulness? Israelites became so good at this in the wilderness. Complaining, grumbling, complaining. When I'm complaining, I'm grumbling, I'm critical. What's my problem? Not thankful. Thankfulness is not ruling my heart. Thankfulness is not filling me. But I'm not living in faith. I'm not living in faith. I'm living by sight, looking at all these little... And what is amazing about grumbling, actually 95% of the things in my life could be so amazing, and these little these little details causing me to complain. I focus on this. This doesn't make me feel good. It's like, get over it and be thankful. You know what? You go overseas and you meet people who do not have anything. They wake up in the morning before they go out to the garbage pile to find what they need to live, and they are thankful. How can this be? How can this memorial thankfulness? Thankfulness. Like Jesus, I command you to be thankful. This is my will. You know the bar in Romans chapter 1. In Romans chapter 1, verse 21. Romans chapter 1. Paul is writing about, in verse 18, he's speaking about the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness of men who are resisting, suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. And he goes on to say that although the knowledge of God is given to all, in verse 21 he says, because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were they thankful. You know what? The bar to be right with God today, the bar is not up here. The bar is right down, it's down here. Will I glorify God? Will I be thankful to God? Actually, God has made it so easy for us to trust God. Just thank me. Just remember me. The bar is not up here. Oh, it's so hard to thank God. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. No, it's not. Well, I don't know what to be thankful for. Okay. Number 2. The reason for the memorial, the reason for the remembrance. This is my blood. This is my body broken for you. This is my blood poured out for you. Remembering where we came from. In America, there is no guarantee like that we would have a free country today. It'd be very easy that we could be living under a dictator. It could be that way. We all came from that bondage and that slavery to sin. In our own lives, where do we come from? The picture of it is the Israel under bondage, under the Egyptian Pharaoh, in Egypt, no hope of escape. You and I, we're slaves to sin. Dead, in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1, dead in our trespasses and sin. Children of disobedience. In ourselves, no righteousness. What does the Bible say about the human heart? Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Only evil continually. Desperately wicked, Jeremiah 17:9. Who can know it? That is us. That is me. Nothing good in me. Romans 7:18. Nothing good in me. Nothing good in my flesh. This is where we all come from. It is so important. Now, this does not mean we're focused on our sin. He's not commanding us we remember our sin. He's not memorializing our sin, but we're remembering where I came from. I'm destitute. Nothing good in me. No hope. Without me, you can do nothing. Don't forget that. Not to dwell there, but to have as a reference point. He said to Israel, remember you were slaves in Egypt. Remember you were crying out to me. You remember. Remember. Why? Because after he saved them, after he released them, what were they saying in the wilderness? Oh, it would be better if we were just still slaves. Oh, there weren't enough graves in Egypt for us to die there. They forgot. They forgot. God delivered them with a powerful hand, brought them out into the wilderness. He led them. He fed them every day. He gave them drink. Miraculously, they survived. And even for 40 years. He was with them. They forgot. They forgot from where they came. And for you and I also, you know what? When we begin walking with God, and God starts working in our lives, and God starts doing like kind of amazing things through us, be careful. You start getting cocky. You start being confused and think it's you. It's not you. It's God. Remember where you came from. It's all God. It's His grace. It's His mercy. We're continuing to live by faith. Don't forget where we came from. We are all the same as far as this goes. We all came from the same place. The even ground, condemned, separated from God. So He says, remember. Last thing. Remember. As often as you do this, as often as you break this bread and you drink this cup, remember. Remember the price it took to redeem you. Remember the love God has for you. Remember the value that God sees in who you are as a soul. He values you. You are so precious. And He has set you free. And now you are not your sin. This is what's a little bit difficult for us. This is where, studying the Bible, this is where studying the Bible, thinking according to doctrine, being discipline in our thinking is so important. Why? Because we all walk around with the memorial of our old life in our flesh. That's like our flesh. Our old man is still with us. This memorial, this remembrance is with us. Many times I wish, I wish I could just do away with this old nature. Well, that's going to happen. That will happen. And we'll be with Him forever. But right now, God is training us to think with Him, to mix faith with His Word, to believe what He says rather than what we see and what we feel. And He says, remember. Remember who you are. You are not your old man. You are not your flesh. You are not your sin. Why? I have set you free. My body has been laid down for you. My blood has been poured out for you. And then what happens the next day? 3 days later. And I'm raised.
Yes.
And when Jesus talks about this, He's not just talking about Himself. He's talking about you and me. He says, you have died. You have been buried. You have been raised. Remember this. Because if you're focused on your flesh, if you're focused on the old man, you won't remember this. If you live by sight, if you live complaining and grumbling, you won't remember it. But remember, this is a memorial for us. Remember, don't let it go. Don't lose this freedom in your day-to-day walk. Don't give it up freely. Don't sell it. Live by faith. 2 Corinthians 5:17. All who are in Christ. Is this real? Is this true? Are these just empty words? No, all who are in Christ are a new creation. You are a new creation in Christ. You are created brand new to walk with God. To live by faith, not live by sight, not live in grumbling. You are a new creation. Thank God every day, even if you don't see anything to thank God for. Thanking God is not a conditional thing. It's not conditional. It's like this is the whole attitude of your heart. Loving God with all your heart, all your strength, all your soul, all your strength. What does it look like? It looks like thanking God. No matter what. It looks like remembering His words. It looks like confessing what Christ has done. Regardless of how I feel, regardless of what I just failed at, regardless of what my flesh just pulled me down and threw me on the ground. No matter what people have done to you. It says, remember. You are a new creation. My life is new. My body's broken for you. My blood is poured out. Remember, every day. Remember. You're a new creation. And then you know what? The person sitting next to you, your husband, your wife, the most irritating person in the whole world, they're a new creation too. Remember this. Keep this as a memorial. Keep this. Confess it. When I came to Bible college, I think one of the first messages I heard Pastor Stevens preach, he put this line in there a number of times. Get right with God. Get right with God. It was it's like memorial. Remember this. Get right with God. Get your heart right with God. Stop living in just your emotions. Stop living in your complaining. And live in this memorial remembrance. And we are free. We are so free. We're free to praise God. We're free to thank God. We are free to love those who are are not worthy of this love.
Amen.
We're free to forgive, even before someone says, "Oh, please forgive me." We're free. You are free to live the life of God, the life of Christ. You are raised. You are raised. We are raised. And last thing, Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Malachi. It's the last book in the Old Testament. I bet she's got it up there already, doesn't she?
There it is.
All right, look at this. Then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. For those, so a book of remembrance, a book of memorial was written before him for those who fear the Lord and who meditate on his name. There's an eternal record being written in heaven. The Lord is hearing us.
Yes.
The Lord is hearing us. Not to condemn us. He's hearing us. He's listening to us. That when we speak together in faith, we confess to one another the love of God. We confess together the promises of Christ. The Lord is listening. He's saying, write that down. Write that down. Write those words down. Write that mixing of faith. That action of love. Write it down. And there's going to be a memorial book throughout all heaven. And it's not going to be about death. It's not going to be a memory of death. It's going to be a memory of the life of Christ that's lived down through your life.
Yes.
And what are we? We're just like, my knees are shaking and I'm saying, I am not worthy of this. Like, who am I? But God is glorified. God is glorified. So, amen? Wow. So, we'll just close with an invitation. If you have never received Christ, or if we ask it this way, if you died today, do you know you'd go to heaven? Do you know for sure you'd go to heaven? Do you know for sure you'd be with God? Do you know it? Because most people in the world think that if I'm a good man, maybe I can go to heaven when I die. It's a lie. It is not true. It is not true. Good people don't go to heaven. Why? There are no good people. But what is it? There are sinners who are saved by the grace of God. God became a man. His name was Jesus. He had no sin. He should not have died. Jesus, there's no way Jesus should have gone to the cross. He should not have died. He is the only one who's innocent. You and I were guilty. We deserve to die. He should not have died, but he died. On the cross, once for all, for you. Why? To set you free. To forgive you. And if you would just receive this gift from God, God will come into your life. He will forgive you. He will make you a new child, His own child. You will be born again, born of the Spirit of God. Just receive this gift. I like to say this way. God has given this gift to everyone in the whole world. So there's only two kinds of people on earth today. One, those who say thank you. I receive it. And number two, those who reject it. Which one are you? Which one are you? Please don't be the second. Please don't be the second. Please receive Christ today. If you've never received Christ today, or before it, if you'd like to receive it today, just every eye is closed, everyone is praying. You just want to lift up your hand and just say, I receive Jesus Christ as my Savior today. Just lift your up, receive Christ as my Savior. Come into my life. Live. Thank you, God. Praise you. Jesus.
Thank you, Pastor Steve. And right now, we're going to bring up, for the rest of our memorial, thank you, that was so good, Lieutenant Commander retired, Omar Iponia, who's going to share with us about Memorial Day. I'll let him explain everything to you.
Thank you, Pastor. We'll start with the video.
Some time back, I received in the name of our country the bodies of 4 Marines who had died while on active duty. I said then that there is a special sadness that accompanies the death of a serviceman, for we're never quite good enough to them. Not really, we can't be, because what they gave us is beyond our powers to repay. And so when a serviceman dies, it's a tear in the fabric, a break in the whole, and all we can do is remember. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us.
Thank you, President Reagan. That was perfect. And thank you, Pastor Steve. Thank you for that message. So, my name is Omar Iponia. I just retired from the Navy after 29 years a few months ago. But today is not about me or the active duty or the veterans. It's about the over 1 million of our soldiers who died in service, who left their families and did not return. So we acknowledge the presence of our active duty and veterans and those who had loved ones who served and did not return. We thank you for their service. My job for just a few minutes this morning is to try to personalize Memorial Day. For a lot of us, it's just about the official start of summer, barbecues, right? Celebration. And it's not a big surprise why. Today, the U.S. population, less than 1% have ever served in the military. And most of our people don't know anybody who has served. And so when we talk about people who have died, they have no connection to those people. So, what I'm trying to do this morning is to just personalize the story of Memorial Day so that you can relate a little bit. And I will try to do that by telling the stories of 3 people, their lives, and what they gave for this country. Let's start with a verse from John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. So there's this guy from New York. He graduated from high school and went straight to the Marine Corps. His name was Jason Dunham. He spent a few years in Hawaii, and then he was sent to Iraq. As a corporal leading a squad, he came upon an incident where he had to back. And while he was struggling with an insurgent, a grenade was thrown to the ground. So what's the instinct of everybody? Who sees a grenade thrown into the ground? Take flight, right? Take cover. But what did Jason Dunham do? He took off his Kevlar helmet and dove into the ground to cover it up with his helmet and his body, taking the brunt of the explosion, but saving the lives of his men. He willfully did that to save the lives of others. There's this other guy named Michael Mansour, an outstanding athlete from California. He excelled in every sport he did. So when he joined the Navy and decided to become a SEAL, Special Operations, it was easy for him. He's a good athlete, could do everything, and he was a quiet operator, so he could withstand all the stresses of war. So on his first deployment, from May to September, he was in 75 engagements, and almost every time they were under attack. And before September came, he had already won a Silver Star and a Bronze Star, which are awards for action, for saving the lives of other people. But in September, while providing protection for a sniper team, Mike saw a grenade fall in front of him. Again, what was the instinct here? He was in a position where he could easily been protected. But he had two people he had to protect. Without thinking, without hesitation, he dove into the grenade, saving the lives of his teammates. So when we reflect on the verse, John 15:13, we realize that there are still people who live by this verse. So thankfully, while those men never made it back alive, the nation did recognize their services, their sacrifice. They were both awarded the nation's highest decoration, the Medal of Honor, posthumously of course. And the Navy named two of its newest guided missile destroyers after them. So the memory lives on the ships, USS Jason Dunham and USS Michael Mansour. We appreciate the service of Jason and Mike and are grateful for that they have received honor and recognition. There are, however, countless others who have made the same sacrifice, but have quickly been forgotten, except by their family and closest friends. The next story I'm about to tell you started with a photograph that I saw online. It caught my attention because of the little girl who looks about to be the same age as my daughter, Jordan. As you gaze upon this picture, what is going through your mind? What assumptions are you making? For me, I thought about a little girl who's going to grow up without her daddy. A little girl who's never going to experience getting the special hugs and kisses that only a father can give. She will never have her dad watch her grow into a beautiful young lady and have him keep watch over her. I was so affected by this picture that I decided to learn more about this family. You can just see in the headstone the name Travis young blood. So I looked it up, and I learned that Travis Youngblood was a Navy corpsman who was killed in combat operations in Iraq in 2005. He was only 26 years old and left behind a pregnant wife, a 4-year-old son, and a daughter, this one, who was yet to be born 2 months later. This was a few years after he was killed. When Travis' mother received the news that her son had died, she was devastated, of course. At first you think it's a dream, and you think you're going to wake up, she said. Then you bury yourself in details. At night you sit and think, you're never going to hug him again. You're never going to touch his face again. I never met Travis Youngblood, but I served with Navy corpsmen like him every day for 20 years until I retired. They are an amazing group of sailors whose bravery has no equal. 22 of them have earned the Medal of Honor, and 46 of them giving their lives in Iraq and Afghanistan. And their job is to save lives. They don't go into combat carrying arms to engage the enemy, but to protect their patients. So when I found out that Travis was buried in Arlington Cemetery, I decided to do a mission last Friday and look him up. It's not an easy job finding his marker among hundreds of thousands of others that look exactly the same. But the long walk trying to find his gravesite gave me time to think and reflect and pray and be thankful for the sacrifice that he has done for us and for our country. So I did finally manage to find his resting place at Section 60, grade 8203 at Arlington National Cemetery. Travis could have stayed home, but he chose to serve and willingly gave his life for others. My heart hurts for his family, but I am comforted by the knowledge that they understood the reason for his sacrifice and are proud of his legacy. This Memorial Day, as we honor the memory, or Memorial Day weekend, as we honor the memory of our heroes who sacrificed everything for our freedom, let us take a moment to pray for the family members left behind. We heard about Jason and Mike and Travis, but there are more than 6,000 families whose lives have immeasurably been affected since 2003. Behind the photo of Travis' grave are endless rows of other graves that represent other grieving people, parents, spouses, brothers, sisters, children, all dealing with a sense of grief and loss in different ways. Let us remember them and pray for them and support them as we learn of opportunities of how we can help meet their needs. Finally, in honoring the memory of those who gave their all for our country, let us also remember the one who gave his all so that we might have hope and life everlasting. Here are some passages from the Bible that give perspective to our celebration of Memorial Day tomorrow. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 116:15. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. And Romans 13:7. Pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed. Revenue to whom revenue is owed. Respect to whom respect is owed. Honor to whom honor is owed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Heavenly Father, we thank you. Thank you for the remembrance. Thank you for all those who served and died for our benefit, that we could worship you here today freely. you in Jesus' name. Amen. You're dismissed. I don't think there's anything else we have to do except there's food and